我会找到的。
我相信你。事不宜迟，不要在此处耽搁了。
Well, folks, it seems Sucker Punch is too late. They now condemn Charlie Kirk, or in this case, condemn their employee for their Charlie Kirk death comment. But it is too little, too late.
I'm sorry.
It's too late.
I hope I never see any jerks again.
Don't go away, man.
That's a good meme, Mike.
Just go away.
That's a nice meme.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We have been gathering up a bunch of new space pirates lately, so most of you know what time it is. It's time to ask,
how many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Yo!
Okay, sorry, I just love to hear it.
Anyways, let's have a look at this so-called apology that Sucker Punch has finally made. We are going to read about it in this article here on the website Kotaku, which I will not be linking in the description of the video.
Of course, Kotaku. Right, of course. Why do these people still go to Kotaku? Who's even reading Kotaku? Generally, folks. And this person, Ethan Gach, I'm 100% certain that his article is not going to be ingenuous. There will be some parts, I'm guessing, I don't know if Dr. Disaster is going to cover it or going to mention this. He's probably going to ignore everything, but we'll see.
Because I refuse to send traffic their way. Now, before we read it though, I just gotta say that it helps when analyzing anything that these people do over at Sucker Punch. It helps to remember that they have it in their heads that their actual audience for Ghost of Yotei was not just your normal, everyday gamer who doesn't buy into their wacko death cult progressive politics. No, they were aiming this game at the modern audience. That is why they decided to replace Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima with a girl boss samurai and hired the lunatic Erika Ishii to play her. That is why they hired the sort of developer who would not only glorify and make jokes about someone harming Charlie Kirk, but would feel comfortable doing it on a public forum. And that is why there was no immediate apology and condemnation of violence forthcoming right after they fired their employee. Because the thing is, these goons at Sucker Punch know damn well that condemning what happened to Charlie Kirk is essentially them severing their ties to the leftist shitlibs they were hoping to attract with this game.
Well, they could at least say something. Okay, first off, sorry about the interruption. Where I am, the only setup I got compared to the last one. Yeah, it's still a work in progress. Okay, besides the point. Look, these people, they should have just stayed silent, or perhaps at least if one of them even said something, I don't know, mocking Charlie Kirk's death, they could at least, well, Sucker Punch could at least condemn it immediately. I think Sucker Punch production knew the backlash, but they refused to do anything about it because, don't forget, Ghost of Yotei is coming up, and they knew if they condemn it, well, the game will flop. But at the end, now it's too late. It's gonna flop either way.
Keep in mind that the reason they used Kotaku and then a former Kotaku journalist to filter their message to the public is because, once again, their real target audience is the modern audience. Once you realize that, every shifty little action that they've taken makes total sense.
Not just the modern audience, don't forget the PlayStation fanboys, because Ghost of Yotei, I already checked, it's a PS5 exclusive only, okay? They didn't say anything about the PC port. And I know Nixxes is still working on that. I don't know if they are currently working on it, but if Ghost of Yotei failed on the PS5, the PC port had to be speed up.
Read what was said in this article. It says, for the last week, a war has been waging in the YouTube comments of each new Ghost of Yotei trailer as the PlayStation 5 exclusive nears its release date early next month. It's been a pretty one-sided war there, my dudes. I have shown you guys this sort of thing a few times already on this channel, but it isn't a war in the comment section of these videos for Ghost of Yotei. That implies that there's some level of back and forth. No, this is a bloodbath, not a war. But of course Kotaku would frame it that way. Anything to protect their corporate benefactors.
Exactly that. That's the reason why nobody even goes to Kotaku anymore. Who goes to Kotaku? I mean, how many of them is left? Alyssa Mercante is gone. Who is their CEO? Their former CEO? Gone. Is it true that Kotaku is worth nothing? From what I've heard, I don't know, tell me in the comments. They keep on getting bought every single time. Shouldn't that be a red flag to people?
But anyways, reading on, it says, that's because a developer at Sucker Punch Productions joked about the assassination of Charlie Kirk on social media. Sony confirmed it had parted ways with the employee following a right-wing pressure campaign, but declined to issue any further statement. Now, studio head and co-founder Brian Fleming has commented on the firing directly in a new interview. The next paragraph then tells us the messed up crap that their employee said originally, but we've covered that before, so let's skip past that to this here. Probably the least convincing apology and condemnation of violence that I have ever read. It says, the facts are accurate, Fleming told Stephen Totillo's GameFile when asked about the situation. Drew's no longer an employee here. I think we're aligned as a studio that celebrating or making light of someone's murder is a deal breaker for us, and we condemn that kind of in no uncertain terms. That's sort of our studio, and that's kind of where we are. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that does not come off as someone who is sincerely sorry that they employed someone like that in their studio. That comes off as someone who is merely sorry that they were caught doing it. Look at what he said again. He said, I think we're aligned as a studio, and then we condemn that kind of in no uncertain terms. How do you kind of do something in no uncertain terms?
I'm gonna have to guess Fleming is not being honest. He just said that because opposite term means he supports Drew Harrison comment, or in this case, Drew Harrison mocking Charlie Kirk's death. He doesn't want to admit it, and don't forget, this is Kotaku. It goes to show you that these developers, listen, to all people who still supports this kind of thing, I would like to consider, I would like you to reconsider your stance in it. Well, except for Battlefield, though, we have Battlefield hardcore fans that will be difficult to at least convince, since they are now fighting with another enemy, the Call of Duty shills and streamers. Yes, those guys who wanted to exploit movement that the Battlefield fans doesn't want it.
If you kind of did something, then that is definitionally uncertain. But then he says that's sort of our studio. That's kind of where we are. You can tell that these words tasted like acid on his tongue. The dude did not want to say this because either he is a true believer himself in this woke progressive shit, or because he knows it will drive away their target audience. My guess is that it's a little bit of both, but the thing is, it really shouldn't be hard to do this. It should not be difficult to simply say that you condemn violence. For example, I'll just say that I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden. I thought he was a terrible president, and I think he's a shifty and untrustworthy person. However, I don't wish any harm on him. I wouldn't even wish for him to stub his toe or anything like that, because I don't like pain and suffering for anyone. And I certainly didn't celebrate when we found out that the guy has cancer. Now, you see, that wasn't so hard. I didn't use any wishy-washy language. I used simple and direct statements. But the thing is, I don't think the apology was the point in the first place, or the condemnation of violence. That wasn't the point. I think these guys want their message filtered through the game journalist lens as a means of narrative control. I mean, look at the next paragraph that Kotaku wrote. I think this was the point. It says here, despite Harrison's swift firing, angry internet users urged on by clout-chasing culture warriors like Mark Grums Kern have been demanding Sony take action against any staff members who may have liked or reposted Harrison's comment, while also targeting other companies and their employees over potential anti-Kirk sentiment. Well, they're only mad because finally the consequence culture is aimed in the opposite direction. For years, we watched shit like Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. He was pushed into retirement after these same troglodytes came after him for simply donating money to Republican candidates. That was all he did, was donate some money and believe things that the likes of these Kotaku stooges find unsavory. But like I said, I think that these articles written by Kotaku were the reason that this interview was published in lieu of a direct message to fans. They want to color perception for the masses as best as possible, and the dude's fake-sounding apology was about as non-committal as anything I've ever heard. I don't buy it, and as far as I'm concerned, it's too little too late.
That is true, it's too little too late, though there's still console fanboys, okay? AKA PlayStation fanboys, such as Reforged Gaming. What else? JTech TV. I don't know why he is called JTech TV since he doesn't know anything about tech. And there's also Shields, okay? Convincing these people is next to nothing, okay? It's impossible. So what we're trying to do is first convince the average everyday normal citizen to at least look at this with a raised eyebrow. Most importantly, to make sure these developers to just shut up. And I do mean any developers in the West, if they have nothing else to say when it comes to the death of Charlie Kirk, just shut up. That's it. But then again, they won't do it. I'm gonna bet 100% Ghost of Yotei will get either a 9 or an 8. Probably a 9, because frankly, these people will probably ignore every performance issues. Yes, the player count may be higher, but at the same time, you have to understand one thing, short term. Those player count, the high player count, is good, but long term, it's not, okay? It's not like in Black Myth Wukong where people just bought the game, play it, go to sleep, play it again when they have free time. It's not like that. Again, don't forget, this game is on PS5 only, okay? This game faces a similar problem, such as in Marvel Spider-Man 2, where there's performance issues, there were glitches and bugs. Then they have to speed up the PC port, and even that PC port is not gonna save them. You guys can still play this. Think about this, okay? This kind of thing, all it's gonna take is just one person to tank an entire game success. All it's gonna take, one person.
至于如今，他们究竟是何番模样，就得靠你们去找寻了。
我会找到的。
我相信你。事不宜迟，不要在此处耽搁了。